Hey carnivores, SB fam, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Bella the Steak and Butter Gal. I hope you all are staying meat fueled and fat fueled. And as usual, drop a comment down below and update me. How are you all doing on your carnivore journeys? If you'd like even more fun, entertaining, and informative carnivore tips, tricks, and recipes, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Steak and Butter Gal. So today's video features the Dr. Shawn Baker. And in this conversation, I deep dive into all of the popular topics that you guys have requested for. My boyfriend Steak and Butter Guy also joins in on the conversation because he has had the honor to train with Dr. Baker for the past few weeks now. And I have to say, I am seriously seeing big results and changes in his body within just the past few weeks. So I had Dr. Baker and Steak and Butter Guy share all of the secrets that's going on in their workouts. How does Dr. Baker train? How does he train Steak and Butter Guy? What have they been doing to build muscle so quickly? Now, before I invite everyone on, I did want to share that Dr. Shawn Baker will be a guest speaker in my January 30-day Carnivore Challenge. January is World Carnivore Month. It is also the new year, and I wanted to make sure that we could celebrate this amazing month with Shawn Baker, the creator of World Carnivore Month himself. Feel free to go to sbgmeetup.com, shown on the screen, or by clicking the links down below in the description box to read more on the details and to directly join us in January.
Okay, so today we are extra excited to welcome Dr. Shawn Baker. So what's up, boss? How are you doing today, Shawn?
Hi, Shawn.
Oh, I'm doing thanks, Bill. Thanks, Max. That's great. And if you guys know, Max is back. We live not far from each other, and so Max has been helping my son with his piano, and Max is both of these guys are wonderful musician folks. So I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. Happy to be here and happy to support you guys in your community. So awesome.
Thank you, Shawn. January 2023 is going to be World Carnivore Month.
Woo!
And yeah, every time I celebrate the new year, it's always something extra exciting because now I can promote the carnivore diet and celebrate with the whole carnivore community as well. What is the purpose of World Carnivore Month and what inspired the creation of it?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's kind of a funny story. So I actually started World Carnivore Month. Some may or may not know that. And so the reason is because I had been on the carnivore diet, take a year or two at this point, and then I got wind of this Veganuary. It's like vegan month, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh,
my birthday's in January. I don't want my birthday month to be the vegan month. And so I said, well, we got to have a carnivore month. So that's purely why I started World Carnivore Month. And then, it's also, the first of the year, and a lot of people are doing a New Year's resolution. A lot of people start diets. So I said, well, that'd be a great time. Many people are up for a dietary change January 1st. Anyway, so that was the rationale behind it. And really, it's just, it's just kind of a taste of what, a sort of a double entendre there, but a taste of what carnivore diet's like. And a lot of people can use that time to see, just to try it. It's like, 30 days, what the heck? You ate a bunch of steak for 30 days. Most people really need about 3 months to sort of really see if there's going to be a benefit. But 30 days, most people will commit to. And so a lot of people, they'll do it for 30 days and they're like, wow, I feel really good. This is cool. Let me keep going. And that's the point. So the side effect is not only is it just something fun to do, but a lot of people really will notice dramatic improvements in health issues. When I go out in society, I see so many sick people. It's just sad. It's sad to see that. There's something that we can do about it. And so that's, the reason a 30-day challenge. A lot of people are for 30-day challenges. And so that's why we came up with that. And then, of course, we make every month kind of a carnivore month. But January is really the big one, right?
So you said that typically it takes 3 months to see results, to feel amazing. What are some of your best tips to start the carnivore diet?
The reason I say 3 months is I think, I collected data on, like over 12,000 people on this diet. And, we saw it by 3 months, almost everybody that was going to get a benefit got a benefit by then. So I don't tell anybody, can't eat fish, you can't eat pork, or you can't eat chicken. And there's people that'll do that. And I'm just like, find something you think you actually will enjoy, you'll like. I know there's some people that are sensitive to spices and seasonings. Leave it in there for now. And then, as time goes by, you can say, hey, that chili powder really doesn't agree with me. Maybe I ought to drop that out of there because I'm tired of my butt burning or something like that. So, you can, you can kind of make it fun, enjoy it. You shouldn't count calories or macros. Just enjoy how many meals you enjoyed. What's going to prevent me from eating Reese's Pieces and Reese's peanut butter cups? They're damn good. They taste good. I like them. What's keeping me from going there? Because I can, I go to the store and I can buy giant bushels of it and eat them all day long if I wanted to. What's keeping me from doing that? Well, some sense of pride. But the other thing is I'm nutritionally replete. I feel good. I've got so much good food in my belly that is keeping me nutritious. So that's what you got to focus on, eating enough food. You know, like in my book, I wrote, hey, eat like it's your job. Now, I didn't mean that for the rest of your life, you just gorge all the time. But I mean, in the beginning, you got to eat enough so that you're not craving all these other foods. And the other thing is, as you're transitioning to a sort of a different, fuel mix, you still have glucose, you still have free fatty acids and ketones. They're always there, but now the ratio has changed. You're running on a different blend. And sometimes it takes a while to get used to that. And so like, if you're like, don't have as much glucose coming in, I don't have as much exogenous carbohydrates coming in, and my glucose is, kind of sputtering along a little bit, and I'm supposed to be relying on fat, but I'm not very good at it yet. And then you're restricting your calories. That's just a recipe for feeling awful. You're going to be no energy, tired, hair falls out, whatever. I mean, all those things that happen when we undereat. So I think enjoy what you're eating, have some variety, use spices and seasonings if you need them. Dairy is one of those things where, I generally, and as a general rule, I tell people, if you tolerate dairy, then use it as more of a condiment. Don't just sit there and eat gobs of cheese and things like that. And use it as a crutch and some people can keep it in. I know you like butter, and that's dairy, so I mean, it's kind of like so you're doing well with that. Not everybody does well with that, but it just depends. And so really, it's just enjoy it, have fun with it. Don't think of it as a diet. Think of it as, what do I get to eat? I get to eat ribeye steaks every day. I get to eat bacon every day. Enjoy the heck out of this stuff. Have fun with it. Make your egg pudding. What is it when you have that super
egg pudding, right?
Egg pudding. Yeah, do that stuff. Have fun.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of eating enough, that's and eating like it's your job. And I always struggled with eating enough until I started training with you. I mean, that's a level of intensity I never knew existed, to be honest. And I would come home and I realized then I could eat so many other things and I would feel full, but I wouldn't feel nourished. Now, when I came home from my first training session with you, I craved having a steak, some kind of animal protein. There's a lot of kind of controversy and a dissenting opinion around this. Wondering if you think exercise and the carnivore diet and eating enough meat, if these things go hand in hand.
Well, I mean, certainly, the more physically active you are, just the more fuel you need, the more resources you need. So, I mean, they to a degree, I mean, if you're going to be eating a lot of steak, you're probably like, I mean, the only reason I eat a lot is because I'm a big human being, but I train hard. I mean, that's what's driving my appetite. So do you have to exercise to be successful in a carnivore diet? Absolutely not. There are many, many people. In fact, the origins, before I even called it the carnivore diet, so you guys don't know, I actually named it the carnivore diet, but now a lot of people, now it's become the standard parlance, but before people called it zero carb diet or some other things.
Yeah.
And so even before I got involved in this, most of the people doing this were just people that were sick. These were really, really sick people that were just desperate. And some of them were exercising, but most not. And as you'll see, Max, the stronger you get and the harder you train, your appetite will go up. Every time I train where I'm like pushing my limits, like when I'm going to like at this world-class level, like for rowing, in instance, whenever my numbers are starting to hit that world-class world record pace, my appetite goes through the roof because my body's saying, hey, dude, you got to feed us. If you want to perform like that, you better feed us well.
Every time Max comes home from your place working out with you, he is not only exhausted and drained, starving, but also he passes out immediately after eating. I can really tell that it's a real hard, push to the limit type of workout.
For me.
For him.
Yeah, for me it is. Anyone on this planet who says that they love working out has definitely never worked out with you before.
This is something that as you get used to your body doing that, I've mentioned that to you, you'll see what you're capable of and what it really means to push yourself. And then, and then if you're hitting 90% of that, it seems relatively easy, which is still an enormous amount of work. And so you still get that benefit. So it's nice just from a, learning perspective to see what does it truly mean to train and push myself to true.
That's right.
To its true potential. And you're doing great. I mean, like I said, it never gets easy. It shouldn't be easy, but it can be a little bit easier. I mean, you should be able to do more, like, what you're doing now in 6 months from now, that'll be like baby stuff. You'll be like, that was easy. I was, the weights you're pushing and things like that, to a point. And then there's a point where you kind of max out your genetic and potential, and then it becomes really, you really got to push yourself. But like I said, I've been training that way more or less for 40 some years now, Max. And so it's fun. You're doing a great job though. He's pushing hard, and we're going to see some, like if you stick with it, like I said, I think the plan is, about 15 pounds in the next 6 months or so.
That's obscene to me still, but I'm going to keep up with it for sure.
Yeah.
It's got to eat. It's got to eat though. Got to eat. Got to put the food work in. Put the food work in. Yep. So Bella, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when Max is this giant buff?
Shawn, I can already tell a difference. So at night, when the light is hitting him in a certain way, I can really tell he's getting that definition and also the bulk. And he hasn't changed anything else. He's just been adding your workouts, going to your place. We still eat the same. I just cook him whatever is in the fridge every single night. He eats so much more as a result. And how long have you been working out with Shawn?
So I did the math, and it's like we've had maybe 6 or 7 sessions together. I did the math, and I weighed myself right before I started training with Shawn. And then very recently, a couple of days ago, and I figure I put on probably like almost 0.2 pounds of probably mostly lean mass per workout. That's how intense we're working.
Come on, Max, let's go. 5 seconds. Get ready. Let's go. Aggressive. Come on. Let's go, Max. Own it. Let's go. Go. Come on. 2, good. 3, good. Let's go. 4, good. 2 more. 2 more. 2 more. 5. 1 more. 1 more. 6, good. Nice.
Let's go now. Come on.
Go, Max. Come on.
I wanted to share a few things with the audience that I've learned from Shawn, just mind-breaking things that really surprised me and inspired me. First thing is, it's not enough just to train for strength. That agility, velocity, these are things that you also need to train as well. And that actually directly benefits the growth potential of your muscles. The second thing is, most people, you walk into a gym and you see a bunch of people pushing out that one last rep, barely getting it out, racking the weight and, taking a rest. With Shawn, we get to that point, and then Shawn's like, all right, drop the weight like 10, 20 pounds and give me like 10 to 20 more reps. I remember one of the first things you told me, if I'm not training at that intensity level, for me personally, with the margin of error and all things considered, I'm more or less wasting my time. I'm not going to get the full potential from working out. So you really have to redefine what intensity actually means.
Let me just comment in there because, like you said, you're doing a classic drop set. And so basically, you think you're done, right? And we know the literature shows that, you have to push to momentary muscle failure. But I mean, that's a mental thing in a lot of cases. It's like, well, what if I dropped the weight by 20% and kept going? Am I really done? And so you find out what you're really done. So once you learn what that feels like to be like truly, really done, then as long as you get within a rep or two of that, you're still going to have pretty good growth. And so it doesn't have to mean, like I said, every workout doesn't have to be to the death failure, but I mean, you need to learn what that is for you so that you can do that. Like not like every set of every rep I do is that way, but I mean, I know what it takes to get there. And I know, like, if I'm hitting 90% of that, I'm pretty good. But if you're really only hitting like 50% of what you're capable of and you're like, quit because, it's getting a little bit hard, you're leaving a lot on the table. And so that, I mean, if you look at the, all the research on muscle, muscle growth, muscle protein synthesis, hypertrophy and strength gaining, there's a lot of that common theme comes back. You have to hit a certain intensity to grow. It doesn't have to be all the way to failure every time, but it has to be approximating that.
How many times I've trained with you, Shawn, and I think I'm at 100%, and you're like, no, you're at 50%. Now you can tell. I can't. I'm just like, there's no way I can pick this thing up. And then, you motivate me, you inspire me. You're like, yeah, you got it. Even though I'm on the floor dying, and I somehow can push out, I don't know, 4 to 6 reps of a weight I never thought I could even get it inch up.
A lot of that has to do with arousal. And so, there's, we think about arousal in a sexual fashion, but I mean, there's athletic arousal, and certain things require, like, you don't need to get hyped up to run a marathon. No one's in there going, but you watch somebody at a powerlifting meet and they're sniffing ammonia and people are slapping them in the face, and they're really getting, like, you've got to get into that sense of thing to do that. And like I said, the best thing was, we were training with, Matisse, who's over there, and you tried it and like stopped at 1, and then he did it for 4 or 5 reps, and you're like, wait a minute. Now that I've worked out with you, I kind of know what you're capable of. And I'm like, I know you can do this amount. And that's what I try to program in. I'm like, I know that you've, based on your last performance, I know you're able to do this. Now, the only difference between you succeeding and failing is the mental side, the arousal side, the desire to do it in that way. And like I said, some exercises require that. We're talking about specifically deadlifting. I mean, deadlifting, which I've been very proficient at over the years, you've got to be able to turn it on. And it's a very much like when I get to a point where I'm going to be doing something really challenging, there's a lot of nervousness and apprehension and butterflies, and you dread it. You're thinking about it all day for 2 days ahead of time. And it's like, that's the amount of engagement you bring to something like this. And even though no one cares, no one's there, no one cares, no one sees it hardly. Maybe on social media you put it up there, but in general, it's important to you. You may not be the world record holder, but you're beating the guy that was there yesterday. And that's what you have to remember. And so, yeah, I mean, the mind definitely, Tim Noakes talks about the central governor theory of athletics, and why do a lot of people shut down? If you have no idea when you're going to finish, your mind will play games with you. It'll be like, oh, we just don't like this, and we'll stop. But if hey, it's only another half mile, I can see my home, I can see my house from here, you'll keep going. So the mind is a huge part of this, for sure. Absolutely.
You have a mental fortitude that I've pretty much never seen in anybody before. You are extremely tough up here. So Shawn, I'm wondering, do you attribute this to what you're eating or how you're training? How did you become so tough up here? And what kind of tips do you have for people who are looking to kind of just be more of a boss?
I've come on the show to be confident. I appreciate that. No, but I mean, I think, success builds success and builds confidence. And I think that's what it is. If you do something, if you just push yourself in some way or fashion and you overcome something, then you can always frame it in that regard, as far as, even like something as goofy as taking a cold shower in the morning. You get up, you take a cold shower. It sucks. You hate it. The first 10 seconds, oh my God, this sucks. You grit through, you do your 2-3 minute cold shower, and then you've just beaten that. And then it's like, okay, what else do I got? What else do I have? And so having success, like I said, I've had the fortune, I've set world records. I've been a world champion in different sports. I know that that's in me. So I apply that to just about everything, whether it's, being the busiest surgeon in the hospital, doing the most surgeries, to now having a company where I'm, goal is to be a major player in healthcare. I mean, those things are all there. And so I have no, lack of confidence, and that, that's not everything. You still got to perform, but I mean, just having that mental confidence. And then, does nutrition play a role? Yeah. I mean, I think it does with your mental health. I mean, like I said, I think being well nourished certainly, makes you better cognitively, but that also translates into performance across the board, whether it's physical or in some other fashion. And so nutrition does play a role. But I mean, getting those first few wins are real important. And knowing how to push yourself, like as you go, as you successfully put on 10 to 20 pounds of muscle and do some of the hardest workouts in your life, you'll look back on that time and say, well, whatever else is in front of you now, I can get through this because I've been through harder. When I'm doing jujitsu, I mean, it's like when I go there, and I'm still new at this, I'm still learning, but I go there and people literally trying to kill me. I mean, that is the purpose. You go to jiu-jitsu class, people are trying to choke you to death. I mean, they stop before you die, obviously, but So you're literally putting yourself in this extreme adversarial position. You got some 300-pound guy laying on top of your head where you can't breathe. And you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I calmly extricate myself from this horrible, horrible situation? And you're not thinking about anything else. All you're thinking about is I'm literally 15 seconds away from death, right? I mean, you do that repeatedly over time. And then everything else in life is like, well, you know, somebody said something stupid about me on the internet. Who cares, right? That type of stuff. Overcome situations makes you a tougher person. It's as simple as that, I think.
Beast.
Yeah. I did want to share that Dr. Shawn Baker will be a guest speaker in my January 30-day Carnivore Challenge. January is World Carnivore Month. It is also the new year, and I wanted to make sure that we could celebrate this amazing month with Shawn Baker, the creator of World Carnivore Month himself. In addition to Dr. Baker being one of the guest speakers for January, I will also be inviting on Dr. Mindy Pelz, who is the fasting expert, Dr. Robert Kilt, whose specialty is fertility and endocrinology, Professor Bart Kay, our resident health scientist in the community, Dr. Rachel Brown, mental health expert and psychiatrist, and Dr. Sabrina Solt, who specializes in regenerative and anti-aging medicine. Each of these brilliant minds will bring their own specialties and expertise to the challenge. In addition to being able to access all of the guest Q&As to all of the brilliant minds shown on the screen, you will also have access to 8 hours of live Zoom calls every single week with me and my team of carnivore coaches. And the full 90-day fat loss program taught by my coaches, Coach Raymond and Coach Emily, will continue to be led and taught in the January 30-day Carnivore Challenge. So to have access to all of the things that I listed and even more benefits, feel free to go to sbgmeetup.com shown on the screen, or by clicking the links down below in the description box to read more on the details and to directly join us in January. I see so many amazing success stories, so many people telling me, just a few months of carnivore, I've healed so many serious health conditions, I feel fantastic, but my stubborn weight is still there, or I can't seem to promote body recomposition. With your experience, what are some tips and strategies that we can implement to get that body recomp going?
Your mileage may vary on these things, and I can tell you what I've observed over years of doing this stuff. So, I mean, you know, obviously we're talking about body fat and lean mass, right? So if your body fat is not shrinking, you can always increase your lean mass. So that's one strategy. Just put on some more muscle, even as a female. I mean, generally, women are not going to turn into giant hulks. I mean, they're going to put on, you know, a couple pounds of muscle in a year if they really, really work at it. So, I mean, that's one part of it. So if you're not doing strength training and you're in a position where you should be, in my view. So that's, you know, because you can only low carb, you can only go to zero carb, and you can't go negative carbs, right? I mean, you're bottom out there. You can play with some of the fat ratios and the protein ratios, and generally not everybody, but many people benefit from upping the protein ratio a little bit. I find, for me personally, I do. I think it supports what I do as an athlete, as from lean mass. So some people do that. I like often doing something called fat cycling, where, you know, basically we'll do a couple lean days and then we'll throw the ribeyes back in, you know, and you just kind of, you can't do it too long, because then you start dealing with hunger and cravings and things like that. And so when we talk about satiation and satiety, they're related but different terms. Satiety is the long-term effect of food. So I eat a big old breakfast and I'm not hungry till, you know, dinner time. You know, I've got 10 hours between meals, or even 24 hours. And then satiation is, you know, when I eat a meal, I feel good. I'm full. I don't want anything else. I'm not looking in the cupboards for that little piece of chocolate or that little bite of something else. And so those are things. And so, you know, you look at what provides satiety and satiation. Some of it's dependent upon hormone. That's why some of these drugs like GLP-1 agonists and GIP agonists are so popular now, are being used as weight loss, because they affect those hormones. What else affects those hormones normally? Well, the macronutrients you eat, the fat, the protein, cholecystokinin. Interestingly, there's at least one study on this looking at the appetite suppressant effect of cholecystokinin, and they found that it's more effective in men than women, and it responds to protein and fat. So sometimes women just don't get the satiety signal that men do by cholecystokinin, probably because women are designed to carry a little more body fat than men. I mean, sorry, ladies, but that's just the way it is. Women are supposed to have a little more body fat than men. Yeah. So you probably need to take in more nourishment. But I mean, like I said, depending on, you know, again, we've only mentioned diet so far. So say diet has been tweaked or done as much as you can. There's obviously sleep. I mean, people that have poor sleep tend to be insulin resistant. They tend to, their appetite tends to be dysregulated. They may eat more than necessary. You know, the circadian rhythm, there's some benefit, you know, maybe it's not huge, but there's enough to where the timing of the meals what time of day you're eating. I tend to feel best, and I think most of the research supports eating earlier in the day than later in the day. It's not going to make a huge difference, but it may make 2-3%. That may be enough to some of that stuff.
Yep.
I think that what else is there? We mentioned exercise, protein, like there's some people that do really good on a high fat version. I know that's one of you do well on that. So
yeah.
Some people don't. Some people, they too much fat, they just eat too much, and it's too and they just have to restrict that. I mean, calories still matter in my view. I mean, that's not the whole equation. That's why these hormone drugs work so well, because it's a hormone effect, right? With appetite regulation. And protein has a higher thermic effect, and it affects our NEAT, our non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So when you're eating more protein, you tend to become just more hyper, and you move more, and you're constantly doing that stuff. And so those are things I look at. So I think sleep, and I think, if you're not somebody that's ever gotten comfortable training and doing exercise and strength training, learn how to do that. And it doesn't have to be difficult and challenging. You don't have to do what Max is doing. We're trying to,
right.
When I'm trying to literally sort of kill him a little bit. But I mean, getting in there with regular strength training will do a wonderful amount of good. And then I tend to be, protein centric, just because I value being strong and lean mass. And I think that's where we should all try to focus on once we get healthy. I think we should not only just be healthy, but we should also be strong, robust, physically fit people. And I think that's something that, particularly in this country, with all the wealth and resources we have, we should not be a nation of overweight, weak, disabled people. We should be a nation of strong. Kind of reminds me of, like the Mongolians. I just kind of think of those people as, these big, strong fighters, and, eating this meat-based diet more or less, from years. But anyway, hopefully that's helpful.
That's very helpful. So regarding strength training, just for my viewers who are not really active, but they do want to start being active, especially since New Year's coming up, what are your best tips to start moving the body more? Is strength training basically just lifting heavy, or what about resistance bands? And does cardio have a place in that at all?
Yeah, those are all great questions. So I think the first thing, the most, like when it comes to weight loss, if we're worried about that, I think strength training is absolutely wonderful. But I think what's more important is not being sedentary. So I'm standing right now. I do all my interviews. I spend all day standing. I rarely sit down. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll sit down to eat and something like that, and I'll sleep in my bed. But I try to really minimize the sedentary activity, because that's really where most of our expenditure is coming from. It's not how much time, it's not that hour in the gym where you're busting your butt. I mean, that counts, but the other 17 hours of the day can be, sitting there on the computer all day, or you could be standing. And I usually take the attitude, if I'm sitting, could I be standing? If I'm standing, could I be walking? So like this, I'm doing an interview. I can do it from the standing position. But if I'm on a phone call, maybe I'll go for a walk. Hey, I'm going to go for a walk, and it's mindless. It's really mindless. It's a mindless way, and it's not painful, and it doesn't, it's not drudgery. Like, oh my God, I got to walk while I take a phone call. It's kind of you're on autopilot at that point. So that's important. But then when you get into basic, how do I get stronger? I mean, depending where you're starting, I mean, it could just be sitting up and down out of the chair. I mean, if you're really sedentary, but I think wherever level you are at, you want to, what I look for when I select exercises for people who don't do, one, is it efficient? Two, is it safe? And is it effective? Those are the things you're looking at. And so you see a lot of stuff on social media where people are doing these crazy 12 motion things, like these women wearing, like half their butts hanging out, and they're just like doing, I'm like, that's stupid. I mean, there are simple things, there's simple basic things you can be doing, that are very effective. It don't take a lot of time. And you focus on that. And the other thing you just have to realize is, the name of the game is progress. And, like I said, Max, the weights you're doing today are going to seem like warm-up weights in about 6 months. And hopefully, because you've progressed beyond that, when you're deadlifting 300 pounds seems relatively tough. Now that's going to be, I'm doing it for a set of 20, or something like that. So that's, and measuring, I think it's fun. I mean, put some fun into that, some measuring, even if you're doing like, countertop push-ups, you're a 60-year-old woman and you've never worked, just go in there, get on the countertop and do some push-ups. And how many can you do? Well, I can do 10. Okay. What about next week? Well, now I'm up to 15. And then you keep doing that. And then you can just figure out ways to progress. But even if the scale is not going where you are, but you can count progress in many ways. And I think that's really motivating if every single thing is dependent upon what Bill says. And that's your sole source of, whether you're doing a good job or not, that you're going to be sadly disappointed more often than not, because fluid matters. How much fluid did I retain? What the weather is like, right. All these things can dramatically alter. But if you're getting stronger, hey, I could only do 5 push-ups when I started this, and now I can do 40. I mean, that's undeniable progress. And so track your progress in multiple ways, gamify it a little bit, and have fun with it, and just think about what can I do to be better, better at whatever, just how. It's not how much weight I lift, it's how many times I did it, or how fast I did it, or how many, there's so many ways. There's an infinite number of ways to measure progress, and you should do it and enjoy it. That's the thing. You're also ultimately, when you first start out, and I tell these people, because I know there's people out there that's like, hey, you're overweight, lazy slob, just get off the couch and start running. And it literally is painful. It literally hurts those people, and it's not fun for them. So you've got to do something in the context that you can actually not be in physical agony, like your knee hurts every time you take a step. Well, then you're not squatting, but you find something that, helps. And it is, like when you go on the diet, is you guys maybe are too young to notice, but a lot of, and you've probably seen these older people, when they go on this diet, things stop hurting and they feel better. And they're like, oh, wow, I want to go do something. I want to go for a hike now. And so let the diet have a chance to kick in. Maybe just being, reducing the sedentary behavior first, let the diet kick in for a couple months. And then as you start feeling better, and then you start making things a little more challenging, and because the one thing is, the more challenging things you do in the gym, the easier it gets relatively, right? Like I said, if carrying up a 50 suitcase is really a struggle at the airport, you're like, oh my gosh, this thing's so heavy. If you're used to lifting 200 pounds in the gym all the time, then that 50 pounds becomes like, it's no big deal. So life gets easier and more enjoyable. Life isn't a constant struggle. It's just, you've restricted the struggle to a finite period of your life, 1 hour a day, or 30 minutes a day, or 30 minutes 3 times a week, so that the rest of your life becomes easier. And that's the focus of it. You should make the rest of your life easier and you enjoy life more.
Yeah. Wow. I've been showing off, man. We've been making those Costco runs, and now I can the whole load in one go,
Well, we're going to get you back there on the farmer's walks, right? Because we've got a.
Oh my God, that was so.
Heard about that.
Shawn had me carry up 120 pounds worth of dumbbells and walk around his. I would say a rather expansive driveway. And halfway through, I was like, man, why can't you just have like a normal house like everyone else? I was like, there's an uphill, downhill. It was probably, you said 300 yards or so. Yeah.
It's about 300 meters around the driveway. Yeah. So it's a challenge, it's definitely, like I said, I told Max, if you don't go quick, this is going to suck really quick. And so he fell into the trap of not going fast enough, and it caught up with him. And then it's just misery for the last,
That's the one time I was unable to meet the kind of standards that you set for me, because every time I was like under whatever, however many minutes, I was able to crunch it out, and all the rest of the conditioning you had me do. But this time you're like, let's try for 2 minutes 40 seconds or less, and it took me like 5.5 minutes or something.
Like when I do it, I just pick it up and run, and I literally run. I run the whole way around. I'm done in 2 minutes. And so, but obviously I outweigh these guys by close to 100 pounds, and so it's a little bit easier.
Shawn, for people who can't do that farmer's walk, can you just give people like 2 to 3 simple exercises for beginners that they can do at home, and they can start feeling that progress that you mentioned?
Push-up is fine. Push-ups, various versions of push-ups. You can do it against a wall. If you're a very, very new starter and you got no upper body strength, just go up against a wall and lean into it a little bit, push yourself away, and then you go to a countertop, and then you go to a lower countertop, or a chair, and then you go to the floor eventually, and then you can make them harder by elevating your feet, and then you can arms in narrow diamond push-ups. There's all kinds of ways to do one-arm push-ups, clapping push-ups, all those things you can do. That's a good one. Squats, just same thing, just body weight squats. Just go up against the wall and body weight squats. You can stand against the wall and keep your back perfectly against the wall so it touches the whole time, and do a squat that way, and that's a little more challenging. You can do that. I think that like you talked about, the farmer's walks are a great one, where you just go for a walk, and you can put a backpack on, if you don't have, carry something in your hand, get some gallons of milk in your hand, go for a 3-minute walk or something like that. And those things will build capacity. This is stuff that everybody has access to. And those are some great ways to start. And then, again, as you develop a home gym, I think everybody should have some way to work out at home, because it limits the excuses, and I put a lot of effort, and we've got some more equipment coming, Max, at the home gym, so you'll have more to play with when you get there. So I've got some more torture device slash
yes.
training devices coming.
Let's go.
But yeah, I think those are some basic ones. Like I said, depending, kettlebells are great. I think kettlebells are a great tool. I mean,
kettlebell
equipment, get a little kettlebell, about 25 to 30% of your body weight, and you can start doing kettlebell swings with that. That's a wonderful device to have, and you can do a bunch of different stuff with that. So there's some starting points.
Excellent tips. So next question I would love to ask, what about people who have difficulty gaining weight? And obviously they hope to gain muscle weight, but just healthy weight in general. Do you kind of recommend certain foods to add in?
Well, I think so. The formula, when we talk about gaining weight, we almost always are talking about putting on muscle. And it's usually guys, guys are wanting to put on muscle. And it's like the formula for putting on muscle is very well established. I mean, the literature is very clear on this. It is adequate protein. It is adequate training stimulus. And then the other important part is calories, adequate calories. And so that calories can come from whatever you want. It can be protein, it can be fat, it can be from carbs. Many people find carbs are easier to eat more of. Like I said, it sort of inhibits some of the satiety signals we get. So it's easier to eat more calories when you're consuming carbs. Doesn't mean you have to eat them. Doesn't mean it's providing any more stimulus for muscle protein synthesis. In fact, the insulin that you get from protein is both necessary, sufficient, and carbs adds nothing to that when it comes to the stimulus for muscle growth. Now, like I said, the advantage you do see with carbohydrates are, one, some people prefer them. Two, they're easier to eat more of. So that makes it easier. So like if Max, I say, Max, you got to eat 5,000 calories a day, and you're just like struggling to put down steaks, you got to eat 5 1-pound ribeyes or something like that, or 4.5 1-pound ribeyes to get that in, and you can't do it, then it might be, say, hey, I could easily get in another 500 calories if you gave me some rice or something like that. And as long as you tolerate that and it's not causing, I know this is kind of a carnivore community, but in general terms, if you're tolerating that, then that's fine, but just be mindful of what it's actually doing to you. Like I said, I personally can no problem eat 6 or 7 pounds of steak a day. I mean, I can if I want to.
Do you prefer to work out fasted or with something in your stomach? The
benefits of working out fasted are that you may tend to burn more fat as a fuel. There may be some metabolic and mitochondrial adaptations that occur in that particular state. So many people on a carnivore diet will be able to work out fasted, and then because they're eating carnivore, their appetite is still in check, and so they can still get away with the standard size meal without overcompensating for the fasted workout. So there can be some benefits around that regarding fat loss. Now, when I'm talking about performance, I like to have some food in me. I mean, I know that I'm going to be stronger, I'm going to be faster when I've eaten, relatively recently. And when I say relatively recently, within the last, 4 to 6 hours, typically. I've like when I won the world championships in rowing a few years back in California, I literally ate a 3-pound tomahawk steak about 3.5 hours before I got on the rowing machine to compete, because I was in Long Beach and I cooked it at my house, and I was in California. I cooked it at my house, ate this giant steak, drove to Long Beach, checked in, registered, warmed up, sat around, and then hopped on the machine and won the world championships. Now, if it's just a standard workout and you don't care if it's your top performance, fasted is fine. I doubt I will PR a workout consistently in the fasted state, or I'm more likely to do so in the fed state. That's my physiology, and maybe some people are different. I'm more worried about, did I work out today, or whether it was fasted or not, right? So it's not like, oh my God, I didn't do a fasted workout, I just did a regular workout, oh my God, it's awful. No, it's not the case. Right. It's more important that you consistently do it, and then whether or not you're fasted or not, it's going to make a small difference in my mind.
What do you think about kids being carnivore? Is that safe? And yes. I know that, we've met Lucas. He looks absolutely healthy and happy. What is a typical day of eating for your son? And what do you recommend for kids in general?
I think a carnivore diet is a healing diet. I think it is a diet that people can use for, perhaps performance. I think that a kid that is healthy doesn't need to be on a carnivore diet. I mean, I think that one of the things is kids are in these massive growth phases. And like we talked about, it's sometimes tough to get enough calories in on a carnivore diet. So if you put a kid on a carnivore diet and they can't eat enough, they're not willing to put down the pound of meat a day or whatever, it can be tough for them. They may, may have some issues with that. If you look at breast milk, it's designed to grow us. Breast milk has lactose in it. It has some carbohydrates in there. So, I mean, you could say dairy, you could use dairy as a thing, but it's definitely got some carbohydrates in there. So where do you pick your carbohydrate sources from? I think it's more important that these kids are not living on processed food. I mean, you're eating natural whole foods. I think copious amounts of animal products, eggs, steak, dairy, if they tolerate. Like Lucas will eat, he has pretty much every day eggs and bacon for breakfast. He has steak every night for dinner. At school, he might have something a little different because he's eating school lunches. Yeah. But he is definitely, Max, you work with Luke. He's a smart little kid. I mean, he's a talented guy. He's doing really well. Healthy as can be.
He really looks up to you, Shawn, for being so
well. I'm so much taller than he has to, right? No, there is. I think there are indications for kids for when they would be on a carnivore diet. I think it's some of the things we've talked about. Type 1 diabetes, autoimmune disease, Crohn's disease, things like that. At least for a period of time, anyway. I think that if some parents want to do a carnivore diet and their kids are developing normally and eating plenty, then that's fine too. I mean, but like I said, I don't blanket as a recommendation, say all kids need to be on a carnivore diet. Of course, I don't say that for all adults either. I like I said, this is a tool for those people that choose to use that. And now if somebody wants to do it for 7 years, like I do, that's fine too. I don't care. I mean, that's good for them. I mean, the reason I do it now at, soon to be 56 years of age is because I just function and feel best this way. That's my preference.
And since the holidays are here, I thought I would share with you guys one of my favorite holiday gift ideas, and that is blue blockers. Blue blockers come in so handy, especially for those who are always in front of a screen. Laptops, desktop, TV, iPads, even your iPhones will expose your eyes to harmful blue light. And when you're in front of too much blue light throughout the day, it can prevent your body from producing melatonin, which will then affect your sleep, your ability to fall asleep, stay asleep, and achieve a deep, restful sleep throughout the night. So blue blockers are great because they protect your eyes when you're in front of screens. This is the yellow colored lens. This gives you medium level of protection, while this clear computer lens gives you the lowest level of protection. I also have this red lens pair, which is best for nighttime. All three of these designs are called Magnum, just in different colored lenses. Any of these would make fantastic gifts for your loved ones, friends, and family, and they're also a great investment and gift for yourself. You all can save 20% off Bond Charge blue blockers by using my discount code SBGAL. I've also linked their website down below in the description box for a clickable link. I'm so curious to know, what are your thoughts on coffee?
There's generally people that do absolutely better when they come off coffee. I mean, clearly, I've seen that within the carnivore community. A lot of people say that. I mean, there's, it kind of can interfere with mineral absorption. It's obviously a stimulant. It can interfere with appetite signals, all those types of things. So there's negative. Obviously, there are some ergogenic performance adaptations. You can work out at a higher heart rate or at a lower heart rate for a higher intensity under the influence of caffeine. Some people just like the way it smells. They like the way it taste. They like the ritual of it, right? Yeah. But having said that, I think about 50% of the people that give it up notice improvements, and 50% of the people that give it up notice no improvements. So I mean, it's like, I think it's one of those things. It's, when somebody's starting a carnivore diet, I don't tell them to give up coffee right away. I think that's just too much stress on the body. I mean, they're dropping all the carbs, they're dropping all the fiber, and now you want them to be having caffeine withdrawal headaches on top of that. It's kind of a recipe for no one's going to stick to this stuff. So so I, like I said, what is caffeine? Caffeine is a neurotoxin for insects. I mean, that's what it does. I mean, that's why plants express caffeine, to kill bugs or whatever's caterpillars or whatever's trying to eat them. Some people like things that are, just stimulating. You get these people that are like trying to get the hottest habanero, ghost pepper, North Carolina Reaper thing. And they get off on that stuff and their eyes are watering and they're like, butt's burning when they go to the bathroom the next day. But some people like that. There's like they get some sort of thrill from that, I guess. And
they should just do one training session with you, man. Same effect. Sure. Same exact effect.
No, every time Max comes home, I can tell he is so empowered, and also
I feel good about myself.
He's nicer to me, so it's like, okay,
he's too tired not to be. You're just like.
I can't afford it.
When you're training and when you're physically feeling better and getting stronger, it's calming to your brain. You just feel better about yourself. You're not as stressed out about things. You don't have as much anxiety. When like I know this, like if I'm ever injured and I can't run or something's happening to me and I just feel like I'm potentially at risk. I feel like I'm prey. I feel like I'm prey instead of predator, right? And that's an uncomfortable feeling. You can imagine, like, I can't defend myself right now, and not that I'm, people are attacking me every day. It never happens, right? But just knowing that if something could happen to you and you were unable to, and I can't imagine, like, as a man, I'm a 6'5", 255-pound man. I have a certain perspective on life that I don't see most people as threats to me. Now, if I was a 5'1", 100-pound woman, I'm like, shit, everybody could crush me just about, or most of the people in society. So it's a different mindset. And so I think, I don't know if that's the way men and women are wired differently, but I think men that are strong and physically active and physically fit just have a better mental outlook. I think that is not to say it's bad for women either, but I think particularly when it comes to men's mental health, I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, that's why I always look forward to our training sessions. It's a mix of pure excitement.
You actually don't look forward. You dread it.
It's excitement. I shared that with you, right? So it's excitement, but it's also nerves. Like, I get very anxious about it because I'm like, what's it going to be today? Is it going to be the bike? Is it going to be the rowing? Is it going to be, what's the conditioning going to be like today?
Yeah, that's always the worst part, the conditioning. If you just accept that it's going to suck. Yeah. And it's like, I'm going to do something that's going to suck. And then, but it's going to be time limit and you're not going to die. I mean, all those things in advance. And it's just like when I was, setting world records on the rower, and I knew it was a limited time, 1 minute, 500 meters. I knew it was going to be roughly a minute and 15 seconds or exactly a minute. And so I knew exactly what it was going to feel like. And I still dreaded it, even though I know it wasn't going to die, even though I know, it was only a minute long. I still dreaded that, but I did it. And I was just like, and it was literally only about 10 seconds of it really sucked. It was like the first 50 seconds weren't bad, but it's just the last 10 seconds. And as you know, when you get on that bike, the first rep ain't bad, and then it hits you. And then it's like, then it's really only the last 10 seconds of a 30-second sprint. It's only 10 seconds. It really sucks. And then you just tell yourself, this is only 10 seconds of my life. Can I push through that? Yeah. And that's how you break it up and you realize it, and then it's, it's never going to be fun. It's never not going to suck, but it's like, hey, I've done it a million times. I'm used to it. And that changes you as a person fundamentally, and it's a good thing. When you're in there, I'm screaming at you to go faster, go, 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 go. I want you to maintain that high level of intensity the whole time, because that's why you're doing it. High intensity training, you've got to hit high intensity. Otherwise it's worthless. It can't be medium intensity training. It can't be high intensity 1 rep and then I suck and I'm tired the last 4 reps and they're all medium. Then that defeats the point of training.
I honestly look forward to the stories that he tells me after he comes home, because I get so much joy and laughter out of it.
I mean, do you want video of him laying on the ground? Like,
I would love that. I really would. I asked him a question. Okay, so now that you've had 6-7 sessions with Shawn, if you were to go to a gym yourself with the same exact equipment, can you achieve that same intensity and level of exercise without Shawn there?
No.
Yeah, so it's
no way.
You're a key variable.
And Shawn's like, I'm not like you. I'm maybe not quite as tough as you up there, but I'm not like, I don't quit, right? I'm not like a quitter. I don't give up easy. For me, no chance.
But what you can do is you can get incrementally closer to that. Like, I personally, when I train by myself, I train very hard. But if you put somebody else in the room for me to compete with, I always ratchet it up. I always train better in the presence of other people, just because, I mean, it's not like I'm slacking on my own. I still go pretty hard, but like I said, when there's somebody else there, I just get that extra 5% of adrenaline. If it's a direct competitor, then even the better. That's like when you throw Matisse in the room with you, I guarantee you're gonna have a better workout, because you guys are, it's a dick measuring contest. I mean,
pretty much, man.
Who's going to win this? And that's what you want. I mean, you really want that's a good environment to be in.
And also on that note, community and accountability is a big, I think, determining factor in a lot of things we do, whether it be trying to push yourself physically or starting a new diet. Mm-hmm. This is really important. It's so different when there are other people in the room with you. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'd love to hear Shawn's thoughts and perspectives on the importance of community. Why do you think community is so crucial in like health and exercise, nutrition,
fitness, wellness,
all of that?
Well, I think a lot of us, we're seeking the approval of others in many cases. I mean, that's one aspect of it. And so we want to, most of us want to do good, but if no one sees it, well, who cares, right? I mean, it's like, if you're the richest man in the world, but you have no one to share it with, who cares, right? You're not going to have fun. It's going to get very old very rapidly. You want to share this stuff. So part of that is you want to have those people around you that can celebrate with you. Part of it is, a lot of us need accountability. We need the coach. We need the drill sergeant, or we need someone we can cry on, shoulder we can cry on. It depends. Everybody has a different need. Yeah. I think that, obviously within this carnivore space, you get so little support outside of these sort of artificial communities that we've created, that you need to go there to realize you're not crazy. You're not the only one. What do you mean? Like, I'm the only person in a 1,000 miles radius that eats steak every day for all my meals. That would get very isolating very quickly. And so when you notice that you've got all the support around you, and it's information, and it's like I said, it's just something to keep you motivated. And like you said, you can identify with other people that are going through what you went through, or what you're potentially going through. And so the community aspect is, I think, vital. I mean, I know you have a community, we have a community at Revero. I mean, I've been very proud of the fact that I literally meet with people every single day, 7 days a week. And I've been doing that for 3 straight years. I mean, literally 9 a.m. Pacific time. I'm there every day, unless I'm on a plane. I'm there and I'm talking with people. And that, one, is fun for me because I get to see all these incredible people just totally transforming their lives. Yeah. But two, it's important just to have that facility for people. And it's, you can, like I said, I wrote a book on the carnivore diet. You can get it. It tells you what to do, but and for many patients, it's not enough. I mean, you can have all the information in the world in front of you, but what's going to ultimately make you do something or stick to something? And the community aspect is really invaluable. And that's part of, like, our company Revero, as we start up, as we launch and start seeing patients in a full medical capacity here in a few months. I mean, the community is still going to be a big part of that. So it's an important deal.
So what are your long-term goals for Revero? And are there any carnivore studies that you're working on?
Well, let me answer the second question first. So I was just in Nashville, Tennessee, and there is going to be a study. One of these very prominent research. I don't want to share his name because he doesn't want people to notice yet. But anyway, he got a bunch of money, several $1 million, to do a study on carnivore, and we're going to look at autoimmune disease. And so we're going to look at probably ulcerative colitis, psoriasis, and rheumatoid arthritis as the 3 diseases. And so we're going to take people with those diseases. We're going to put them on a carnivore diet for probably 4 to 6 months. And I was in Nashville talking with cattlemen to help provide beef for the study, because that's, they need that to do the study. And the cattlemen, of course, were so gracious and said, of course, we'll support this. They are such good people. And so that's going to be probably starting in the spring. Once they get it, the everything's secure, it'll probably launch in the spring. Wow. Probably finish in the fall, and then will be written up and probably published either late this year, early next year, or early 2024 rather. So that's going to be a really big one. It's a first real interventional trial on this diet and these autoimmune disorders, which we all know it seems to help really well. I mean, that's been our experience and my experience every day. So that's coming on. Revero itself, we're engaging in a study. We've got a study with a researcher out of University of Alabama, and we're looking at the financial impact, the healthcare dollars savings impact of switching diets like this, because our postulate is, our hypothesis is, putting people on diets or diets in general will save lots of healthcare dollars. And so we're looking at pre-intervention, costs. Like, say somebody has ulcerative colitis and they were spending $22,000 a year every year for the last 5 years, and then you put them on a dietary change, and that $22,000 now dropped to $1,000 a year. So now you've got this enormous potential cost savings, which is invaluable for, perhaps if you want to work with a company and say, hey, look, you've got, 5,000 employees, 300 of them have diseases, and we know that we can save you X million dollars a year on your employee healthcare costs. And so that's one of the things that's going on. And the other thing was, with meeting with the Cattlemen's Association, securing a sort of building a conduit to do even more studies after this. So I have no doubt that this will be the first of many studies. It's not even the first study. There are probably, as I put out on Twitter the other day, I posted a list of about 7 or 8 carnivore studies that have already been published. If you guys, I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter, but you can find that thread. So there's going to be more coming. So, but I think this one's exciting. It's by a well-known researcher at a very well-known university, center. It's going to get, if it shows the carnivore diet truly does help with autoimmunes, I'm not going to say what the results are going to be because I don't know yet. But I mean, my assumption is it's going to show some pretty impressive stuff, and that's going to be groundbreaking, I think.
Amazing.
And this is critical because the current database for carnivore-related studies is quite limited right now, especially relative to all the rest of the food studies being done.
Right. But the one thing I will say that every single study on the carnivore diet that's ever been done is all positive. You cannot find a negative study on the carnivore diet. It's all positive. So that's good. I mean, that's at least you can say that. So the hypothesis should be carnivore diet is generally good, right? Because that's the only studies we have.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. I wanted to ask, Shawn, I wanted to ask you one more question. You're arguably one of the most accomplished people I've ever met with you have this chimera career as a medical doctor, as the godfather of the carnivore diet, and also as an elite level athlete. And on top of that, family, friends, right? All that. So I was just wanted to ask you if you can name the achievement out of so many different achievements that you're most proud of.
Well, I mean, the true, it's the kids. I mean, having the kids. I mean, that's the best thing. I mean, all the other stuff. That's why we exist on this planet is to, keep our species going. And so, you're always proud of your kids. And so, that's always kind of like the go-to answer for all that stuff. I mean, outside of that, honestly, I think it's yet to come. I think what I'm doing now will be my greatest achievement. Irrespective of all the other stuff I've been. I've had some personal neat stuff, some athletic accomplishments and that sort of stuff. But I think, if I'm able to do it, and I'm very optimistic that we will, but fixing the health and lives of not only thousands, but millions of people, that will be it. That will be, like I said, outside of, the typical, I love my kids type of thing, but that's it. That's going to be it.
That's your 1 rep max right there. And you're going to hit it as you always do, man.
I certainly hope so. Anyway.
Well, Shawn, thank you so much. I would love for you to share where people can find more of you, how they can support you, and how they can join Revero.
Every single day at carnivore.diet. I'm there 9 a.m. Pacific time for an hour every single day. So that's where they can find me. My social media. On Instagram, I'm Shawn Baker 1967. Nice. On Twitter, I'm SBakerMD. On YouTube, I'm Shawn Baker MD. On what's the other one? TikTok, Shawn Baker MD. I think just go to the website, go to carnivore.diet, go to revero.com. If you are a patient and you need medical care, you need a doctor that can prescribe medicines and help you with this, look out for us. We'll be opening in the very near future. We're going to hopefully open in all 50 states very rapidly. So that's where you can go. Go to carnivore.diet. It's a great resource. I know some of your members of your community are already there, and so those are some places you can go. Like I said, I'm the biggest thing I'm excited about is the Revero.com. I think that's going to be the real alternative for people that actually need medical care, and we want to provide that for them. So that's it.
Dr. Shawn Baker will be a guest speaker in my January 30-day Carnivore Challenge. January is World Carnivore Month. It is also the new year, and I wanted to make sure that we could celebrate this amazing month with Shawn Baker, the creator of World Carnivore Month himself. In addition to Dr. Baker being one of the guest speakers for January, I will also be inviting on Dr. Mindy Pelz, who is the fasting expert, Dr. Robert Kilt, whose specialty is fertility and endocrinology, Professor Bart Kay, our resident health scientist in the community, Dr. Rachel Brown, mental health expert and psychiatrist, and Dr. Sabrina Solt, who specializes in regenerative and anti-aging medicine. Each of these brilliant minds will bring their own specialties and expertise to the challenge. In addition to being able to access all of the guest Q&As to all of the brilliant minds shown on the screen, you will also have access to 8 hours of live Zoom calls every single week with me and my team of carnivore coaches. And the full 90-day fat loss program taught by my coaches, Coach Raymond and Coach Emily, will continue to be led and taught in the January 30-day Carnivore Challenge. So to have access to all of the things that I listed and even more benefits, feel free to go to sbgmeetup.com shown on the screen, or by clicking the links down below in the description box to read more on the details and to directly join us in January. Thank you again for watching to the very end. I will see you in my next video. SVG out.